With that, our first question is from Nathan Ruiz with the Baltimore Sun.
Hey, Cody, nice to meet you too. I guess what do you see as your responsibilities in this new role? I know, the kind of work you were doing down in the minors. Is this just kind of a continuation of that, or are there new responsibilities? I guess just what does this role kind of look like?
I think that's something we're still like really trying to like cement down, like the day-to-day of like what exactly I'll be doing. But I think that's like kind of the strength of our org in a sense is, I think Mike and Sig and Eve and Matt, they just do like a absolutely like fantastic job of like just hiring people and then allowing the role to morph into something that gets the most out of that person, and just allows you the opportunity to be successful. So right now, the way I see it, I'll be, an asset to Fuller and Borgs, hopefully to Brandon and Freddie, in game wise, have contact with the front office and the analyst, and just really kind of be, hopefully be just kind of a jack of all trades and just be there to support and help our hitters get better.
Just a reminder for anyone just joining to please enter your name in the chat if you have a question. Next up is Rich Dubroff with BaltimoreBaseball.com.
Hey, Cody. Actually, I sat next to you during dinner when you were visiting.
Oh, nice.
First week in October. Neither Borg Schulte or Fuller was a major league player, and you were. How important in your role do you think in working with the hitters is the fact that you have been a major league hitter and been there and done that?
I think on the surface, it may seem like a lot more important than it really is. I think if you had asked that question like 10 years ago, probably like really, really important. But I think like this newer age of hitter, I don't think they necessarily care all that much. They just want good information. And they want coaches that care, and they want coaches that can help them. And so I think myself having some experience on the field in a major league, setting, stepping into a box like that, I think that just helps diversify our coaching staff just a little bit, to where, I can just be a voice in the room with Fuller and Borgs and help them understand things that maybe they haven't gone through. So that just ultimately the message that we deliver to the players is the best that we can give them, so that they can get better.
Steve Molesky with MASNsports.com.
Hey, Cody, just want to make sure this is a role that I assume it has you in the dugout during games. And if yes is the answer to that, can you tell me once 7 o'clock hits, game time hits, in the current day with all the data, analytics, the iPads, everything that's flying out there, how much can hitters do that help themselves from 7 o'clock on with the coaches?
That's a process that really starts like at A-ball, within our org. We've really made, a really big effort this past season to have some uniformity from the big leagues down, in the way we kind of operate the dugout, from Delmarva all the way to the big leagues. So our players from the second they get into our org are constantly learning how to really just engage with this scouting report that we've created on opposing pitchers. So they know how to read that. There's quite a bit of information on there. Everybody's different. Everybody wants different sort of things before they go to the plate. And our job really as coaches, once the game starts, is kind of use our feel and see what's going on and how the game's progressing, and evaluate some at bats and kind of think critically through like why a hitter might have been thinking a certain way. And then like, when pitchers come in, like we're that first voice, and like we're kind of the experts on what's going on, as far as the bullpen guys go and what they have and how they're going to attack. So, like you said, in the heat of the moment, you got about, I don't know, a minute, 30 seconds to get to a hitter. If Mountcastle's leading off and we had a long inning on defense and they bring in a new righty, like you might only have, 25 seconds to get his ear, to give him, a little bit of a nugget to get on deck. So, our players are really good at that. They really understand the information that we have. And I think we've done a good job as an org of really only putting the relevant things on there. So it's not too much for guys to go through, and, no paralysis by analysis kind of thing. But we're always trying to just know our players, and know what they need, and give them something that they can take from the dugout steps to on deck into the batter's box, and just help them be just a little bit more successful.
Next, we'll go to Jake Rill with MLB.com, and then we'll get to any follow-up questions.
Hey, Cody, just how excited are you about the future of this team and this organization? How excited are you to be a part of it moving forward?
Immensely. I was really fortunate that Matt and Mike really gave me a chance this past year, and gave me, kind of a large role in the minor leagues. And it was a big year for us in the minor leagues. We needed to have some development of some high level players. We did a good job, I think, of putting those guys in good situations. And we're really deep as an org on the hitting side right now. It's really fun to see the really good talent we have in the big leagues that still is developing skills and can still get better as big leaguers. And then we have guys that are chomping at the bit, and the upper minors that are really ready to take off and start their own careers too.
Dan Connolly with The Athletic.
Sorry, Cody, I'm coming here through the light, so I hope you can see me here. When you spent the last week or so at Camden Yards, kind of checking things out, talking to people, whatever, was this job kind of in the works at that point? When did it come together where, you realized that you might be part of the major league staff? And if you did know that was a possibility, were there certain things you were looking at while you were there?
No, that last week in Camden, I think, was more so just a chance for me to get back with the staff, since the minor league season was coming to an end, and I was heading down to Florida for instructional league anyways. So I think it was just really a chance to just be with Fuller and Borgs, because we had planned on doing that throughout the season. And then the schedule gets crazy, and you got to fill here, fill in there, so things don't work out as well. But I would say the role kind of came together, fairly soon after the season ended. Just kind of looking and seeing the future and how, I can best use my skill set and leverage that and have the greatest impact in the org. And this came up, and, I'm really excited and feel very fortunate that, the front office believes in me, and they trust me to be around their major league assets, and they trust me to help our team get better.
Nathan?
Cody, what was your kind of personal development process for this type of role to become a coach? Who are some of the mentors, the people you relied on to get prepared for this type of situation?
Yeah, so, man, it's probably I've been preparing for this my entire career, honestly. I had a fairly quick rise to the major leagues, and kind of a fairly quick fall out of the major leagues. 3 years is whatever, like, under your belt as an everyday player, not quite as long as you would think, but after that, kind of spent time searching and trying to get better and looking for ways to do that. And then along the lines, met hitting instructors, met other people that are fairly prominent in some major league hitting circles, always trying to having to be on the forefront of what was coming next and trying to get better, because I just didn't really have like the talent that I was just going to be able to skate by. So, like my lifelong hitting instructor, since I was like 14, like, he probably really built, his name's Rick Strickland. He coaches with the Cubs now. But he built a real passion for hitting inside of me, and like, just a really great person. And like the relationship I had with him, just being someone I could just absolutely trust no matter what throughout my career, no matter what team I was with. And, that was like always, that's something I try to strive to build with our players now. And then probably as I transition, that 2020 season, I didn't get to go to a summer camp or do anything like that. Went back to school, kind of saw the writing on the wall, and was preparing a little bit for, the world of coaching. And just really fortunate to make friends with a guy that coaches with another, organization in the major leagues, and really he kind of done it from the ground up and kind of taught me what it was all about. And just, kind of nudged me in certain directions of where to kind of go do your own research and do your own findings and find your own way. And then, that was someone that I got to rely on when I coached in Clearwater as well. It's once you're down there and you have your own team and kind of find who you are as a coach, and you learn a lot, man. You learn a lot just by interacting with players. And I wish there was like a better answer, but it's the way the world works out. Sometimes I could kind of always feel it as a player. I just was always kind of the person organizing like cage work in the off season, and kind of always the person the guys would come to and talk to, about the swing, and always down to sit in a cage and just watch, and just like really just infatuated by hitting. And I just loved it so much, and it was just kind of a natural transition once I knew my playing days were over.
Rich?
Cody, it wasn't that long ago that you were a big league player, barely 5 years ago. But coaching has really changed a whole lot. The way pitching and hitting are coached has changed. Has changed. What was do you think that if you'd had this kind of coaching when you were playing, that you might have been more successful?
The competitive side of me wants to just say 100% yes. I would say would it made me from a fairly average major leaguer to an all-star? Maybe not, but I think what it would have done is allowed me to exit the game with less what ifs, and that's the kind of thing that you keeps you up at night as a player. Is man, we didn't even use pitching machines. I didn't use pitching. I was we didn't have scouting reports. We had the velocity of the pitcher. We didn't know how his stuff was moving. You could come in and face, back when I was in the NL East, the Braves pitching staff had Craig Kimbrell as the closer, and we didn't really know anything besides he threw hard. Yeah, good luck. We're facing Jose Fernandez tonight. Good luck. He throws hard and he's got a good curveball. You're doing video research on your own. It was a lot for young players to handle at the time, and I think that the way that coaching has evolved, it's you're just a little bit more involved with the player and a little bit more invested in the player. And I think it's just tremendously important for the game just because of how hard it is. And I think you see that with, guys are coming to the big leagues and they're having success. I don't know, maybe stats back me up and maybe they don't, but it sure seems like that transition to the big leagues is, started to become a little bit easier on young players. And I think that's because the newer age, or just not the age, but just the newer requirements of the hitting coach is really there to support. And the information it sometimes gets a bad rap, and but for a lot of players, man, it really is necessary. There's just a lot to know, and you just there's a lot to see, and you just never know the nuggets of information that are going to really help someone out. So I get a little bit long-winded there, but I'd like to think that if I had Fuller and Borg-Schulte, I probably would have had maybe a couple more years. Maybe I get to go through arbitration once or twice, Maybe I'm a league average hitter, which is like huge, immensely valuable in, the grand scheme of things. So I would say, yeah. And that's why I strive to be that, now. It's not for like the next Cody Asche per se, but just for the next hitter that, could kind of get lost in the shuffle of that transition to the big leagues if they didn't have the quiet support that we're available to provide now.
Last question is from Nathan.
Hey, Cody, just a quick follow-up to my previous question. You mentioned a coach who, you relied on a lot for advice. I'm just curious who that was.
His name's Dustin Lynn from the Giants.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, he's been a really strong mentor for me. Probably dating back to 2017, I gave him the keys to the car and said, "Hey, change my swing." And through that process, learned a ton about just hitting, skill development, coaching. But yeah, there's tons of people I could name, but the two that really stick out, like Rick, he's been had a huge impact on my life since I was 14 years old. And we still talk to this day. And then Dustin is one of my best friends, and we're lucky enough to now compete against each other. And both work in the same industry and at very high stakes level.